for the rest of Wednesday with mostly sunny skies this afternoon and highs in the upper 80s. It's also going to be a breezy one. Winds out of the east-southeast, anywhere between 15 to 20 miles per hour. Wind gusts higher than that. And it stays breezy into this evening. Mild temperatures yet again with overnight lows in the low 70s and partly cloudy skies. Tomorrow's going to be another dry and breezy day, highs in the upper 80s. I'm WPTV First Alert meteorologist Jennifer Correa for WSTU 1450, Martin County's Heritage Station.
You are listening to WSTU, Stuart, Jensen Beach, Hope Sound, Martin County's Heritage Station.
It's time now for the Casey Ingram Show on WSTU. The opinions expressed are those of the program host and guest and not necessarily those of WSTU. WSTU does not endorse products that may be mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without written consent of WSTU. It's time to call in with your questions and comments at 220-9788, 220-WSTU. And now, here's Casey Ingram.
Good morning and welcome to the show. We have a couple great topics on tap today. First, we're going to have Mayor Troy McDonald from the city of Stuart in, and he's right here in the studio with me, and we're going to be talking about a bill that could affect your trash and recycling fees. So that's going to be super important, and he's been sounding the alarm about that, and I invited him on the air to share with us why he's concerned. And we'll talk about some things in the city of Stuart if we have time as well. Also, folks, I want to let you know, on my way in on the corner of US 1 and Canner, Evan knows there's a parrot flying around. He's beautiful. It looks like a macaw, maybe a scarlet macaw. I don't know. He's gorgeous and he's big. But if you're missing your parrot, there he is. He's flying around. Second half of the show, we're going to talk about that. They're calling it a book ban, but folks, it's really not a book ban, but the schools are definitely going through the books to see what is appropriate for our children to have access to at school libraries only. So we're going to talk about that. I have school board member Amy Pritchard in here to discuss as well. So these are going to be great topics. Call in with your questions, 772-220-9788, or I'm also watching my Facebook live feed, and definitely just tune in there. If you missed the show, it's going to be on my YouTube channel, posted a little bit later today. Just search YouTube, The Casey Ingram Show. On the phone, I have Patty Marchesi. She is with the Martin GOP, the REC Club, and they have a very exciting picnic in the park, and she wanted to just share with you a little bit about that before we start the show with Troy. Patty, are you there?
Hi, Casey. How are you?
I'm good, Patty. It's good to hear from you. And tell us about this wonderful picnic in the park that is on Saturday, April 29th this year at the Indian Riverside Park.
Okay. First, I just want to tell you that the Martin County Republican Party is energized. We have a great team of volunteers, and you can find us anywhere in the community. We are at all the chamber events, the rodeo, the air show, everywhere you look. Anyway, this will be our second annual picnic in the park. It's on Saturday, April 29th, like you said, at Indian Riverside Park. We have Michelini's Italian restaurant. I don't know if you've been there before, but it's a fantastic restaurant, and they have a
100%.
great barbecue menu plan for us. And then we'll have beverages and desserts. We have a dessert team. All this for the small price of $20.
And they need to get tickets ahead of time, right, Patty? This isn't something you can get at the door?
You know what? That's the most important thing I want to tell everybody, because you must buy tickets in advance. Adults are $20, kids are $5, and we need to give the caterer a head count. So that's the reason for that. Last year we have a sold-out crowd, over 300 people. We also have DJ Stevie Wonder will be there. We'll have fun activities, cornhole, limbo, lots of fun surprises. You have to be there to find out. Joel face painting will be there, and some other things. So it's really just a fun time to get to meet a lot of your neighbors. And really have fun.
Is there a deadline to get tickets?
There is. Well, the week before we have to give the head count.
Okay.
So we're into April already, so within the next week or two, if you can, the best way is to either contact me and I can send you a link. You can go online on our website. Also, my email is events at martingop.com. It's on the flyer. If I could send that to you. And
Flyer is on Facebook Live right now, so folks can see that. But yes, events at martingop.com. And Patty, adults again are $20 and kids are $5. So this is a family fun event, only $5 for the kids. And what a great time out there at Indian Riverside Park in a beautiful setting indeed.
Yes. Yes, great. Come. We hope to see everybody there. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Fantastic. Patty, thanks for calling in, and I hope we get lots of people out there. I know you've had so much success with this event, and folks, it's a lot of fun. It's definitely worth going out for.
It was sold out last year, so you really got to get your tickets early.
Don't wait till the 22nd. Get them today. Events.
Okay, great.
You're welcome, Patty. Events.
Thanks, Casey.
You're welcome.
I'll see you there.
You got it. Events at martingop.com. Also want to thank my sponsors, Commercial Mortgage, which has been in the industry of small balance corporate finance since 2003, and their focus is on equity, new debt solutions, challenging corporate foreclosures, and debt restructures. Give them a call at 561-310-5295 or visit them online, Commercial Mortgage LLC. And don't forget about Indiantown Marina. It is one of South Florida's best boat storage facilities. Do it yourself or full service boatyard. Any work you need done, they can help you out. Give them a call at 772-631-3272. 631-3272. Mayor McDonald,
How are you?
Appreciate your patience here this morning.
Oh, no problem.
But-
Love coming on your show. It's always a good time to be here.
You know, I think, am I right that you were the very first guest?
I was, and I think I may be one of your most prolific guests as
You
well.
you are. You have been on here a lot, and it's always a pleasure to have you. Always good information. And Troy, you were talking about at the last commission meeting. I was watching it online, the city of Stuart, and you talked about House Bill 975. And it's a solid waste management bill. And you said, folks, you better pay attention to this bill because if it passes, the residential customers are really going to be impacted. So tell us a little bit about why you're warning us.
Okay, so there's a couple aspects of this. One is it would basically limit the ability for municipalities and counties to have one franchise. So, for example, the city of Stuart does its own solid waste, and Martin County contracts with waste management. So what happens is if you look at the cost of sanitation especially for the residential, the single family or the townhome residential duplex type customer, it's spread out across everybody. But it also includes all of the commercial and the multifamily and your apartments and your condos where they have dumpsters and stuff like that.
Right.
And one of the things that they would do is by not having a franchise where you have one person doing it all and you can bring in all this. And theoretically, the idea is that you bring in this additional competition, but then other companies will come in and pick off all of the stuff that's easy, and then because you're spreading it out equally over your commercial and your residential. So your residential customer I'm going to use unincorporated Martin County, for example, that's in Port Salerno, where there's, or Jensen Beach, just say Jensen Beach or Palm City, where there's a larger concentration of people, it doesn't cost as much to pick up their trash, but it costs considerably more to pick up the trash to people that are out in the 20-acre and 5-acre ranchettes. Well, and so one of the ways that allows us to even that out is by having the overall contract with the commercial. If all of a sudden the commercial and all of the easy stuff with the multifamily goes away, now we're going to have to the commercial and stuff subsidizes, especially the stuff that's out in the fringe areas or the out there. I don't know.
More the rural.
Rural area. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. The rural areas. So potentially, that could cause everybody's rates to go up because you can't do this special assessment where you're going, well, this house pays this much and this house pays this much and this. It just becomes too complicated. And the city of Stuart doesn't do special assessments. We actually are in-house with everything except for roll-offs. And we have some contract work that we do with some of the roll-off stuff.
Okay.
But we do our commercial and our residential. But it potentially could take that away from us as well. There is been some changes to the bill, and one of the things I saw that was changed, and admittedly I didn't get a chance to go look at it in the last couple of days. Tallahassee's moving fast and furious.
They sure are.
If you have a municipality or county that does their own sanitation, if they do 100% of everything, then it would not be affected.
Okay.
So that would be something that we'd be looking at. Do we need to start doing everything ourselves?
So the city doesn't do everything itself yet?
We do almost everything.
Almost.
Just I think the roll-offs we contract out.
Okay.
We're allowed to be contracted out. But we may need to consider doing that. Again, we kind of have to wait and watch and see how the final bill comes through. But if how the session's been going so far, it hasn't been a local government friendly session. So
there's been a lot of preemptive laws that are being pushed through Tallahassee right now. And next week I'm going to have Michael Circus on the show. He's been following a lot of these bills. I mean, Troy, there's been a bill about, and it's so far going nowhere, but a dog hanging its head out the window. And, yeah, I'm like, my little toy poodle, I'm like, oh my goodness, she's going to be a jailbreak here with her head out the window. But, there's just all kind of bills. I talked about them in my promo today, but Mike Circus will be here. But talking about preemption bills, there's one on the waterway bills, and there's one Senate Bill 102 that's already been passed.
Yeah, Senate Bill 102, it's the Live Local, and I understand where Tallahassee's coming from. They're getting a lot of grief from people having trouble affording housing. So they're trying to come up with a solution. I don't agree with the way they came about it. And one is they decided to take the regulation of development away from local government under circumstances involving multifamily. And so the bill it's been signed by the governor. I think it takes effect July 1st.
Yeah, I think it is.
And we're still evaluating it and looking at it, but there are some potential negative impacts. And I think the biggest negative impact isn't necessarily the development it may or may not bring. It's the fact that we're going down the road of more and more preemption of home rule, because this one took a big swipe at us. Took a lot of ability for us to govern ourselves away. And as we know, it's every time, okay, once you take one scoop, the next scoop's always bigger,
right,
and the next piece is always bigger. And so I think that is one of the biggest concerns that we have to look at. There's a bill out there, and I can't remember the number. It's like 1242 or something that takes away our ability to regulate water.
Yeah, I think it is 1242.
Wetlands, water quality for our stormwater management. And it goes as far as to say that if we do regulate anything, the state will remove all of our state funding. And in the city of Stuart, that's only 35 to 40% of our budget comes from ad valorem tax. The lion's share of the remainder comes from shared revenues from the state, so state funding. So the state's, the legislature is really working hard to.
That's a heavy hammer to hold over your head, by the way, to take away your funding. And folks, these preemptive bills, I was putting the warning out a little bit before about Senate Bill 102, and not only the height restriction with the hospital, but also there's tax implications for the city.
There's if someone meets, again, and again, we haven't completely evaluated, the bill is 95 pages long, but if under certain circumstances, there is 100% zero ad valorem tax for up to 30 years. But I think that there's a lot more to this. It's administrative approvals that are required. So one of the things that makes Martin County so wonderful is in the city of Stuart, and I'll speak for the city primarily because obviously that's who I represent, is the reason why we're different from Broward County is we've been able to maintain our growth rate in the city of Stuart for the last 30 years at approximately 1% a year on an annual basis. From the 1990 to census to the 2020 census, about 5,500 people have increased in the city of Stuart. Look around, look at Port St. Lucie, look at unincorporated Martin County, and look at the differences. Second is open space. Through our development process, we require a certain percentage of open space. You don't see that down south. We require high water quality issues. We start with our stormwater, or we have a much a more robust landscaping code that requires more trees than you see down south. We're in the city of Stuart. We've been really pushing low impact development standards, so when something does get developed, it's actually a better quality development, not just throwing up some buildings and paving some parking lot and calling it a day.
And folks, now we're talking about growth, and everybody's worried about the multifamily building that has been going on. But one of the things this bill did is, if you have a commercial piece of property, you don't need to get approval from the city anymore to rezone it.
No,
it's gone.
It's gone, completely gone. And if 40% of the units are considered affordable.
And what's affordable, Troy? I know these figures, but
so it's a moving target. But it's for a family of four. It's around $84,000. It's an annual median income times 120% to come up. And I've been told that annual median income for Martin County is
84,000.
I understand that it might, if you use the Port St. Lucie PLZ census track, it's 82,000. But it also
But it trickles down to rent, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, it trickles down to rent, and then I believe it's 30% of that number. So if it comes out to just say 100, let's use easy math. If 120% of the AMI comes out to 100,000, annual rent being 30,000, that is, so divide that by 12.
That's right.
And so that's your affordability for a 2-bedroom
About
apartment.
$2,500 a month, about, give or take.
Yeah.
So,
and the bill doesn't require apartments to be a certain size. So you can do 2-bedroom, 700 square foot apartments to keep the, because the square price per square foot will be higher, but you'll get a unit. So
folks, we really got to pay attention to these bills that are going through Tallahassee. The Live Local Act is what we were just talking about, and it sounds wonderful, and I get it. Everybody's screaming, we have to have more affordable housing. I understand that our elected officials are trying to address the problem. My concern with this bill was huge, and the fact that, they're trying to push something through to say they did something, but is it really a good bill? I don't think it is for us locally. So, and this was passed.
All 40 members of the Senate voted for it. I think there was 6 no's in the House, and so I guess that probably describes how serious the state is taking the affordable housing problem.
Yes.
Because when is it that we, in Tallahassee, in this political environment, when you get all 40 senators to agree on anything, and the vast majority.
And the majority of representatives, including all of our representatives on the Treasure Coast. Troy, we got a couple questions that don't have anything to do with this topic that have come in. Talk about Martin is curious why you voted against invocations before the meetings.
So I did vote against invocation. The reason I voted invocation is I do believe in a clear separation of church and state. I am a Christian. I go to church. I actually spoke with several pastors. I also looked at the numbers of the people who live in the city that spoke at our meeting. Ends up, out of the 50, 60 people that spoke, there was 12 people that were city residents, and they were split 50-50. Now, that being said, I have no problem with prayer, but I do believe there is a separation. I spoke with my pastor about it. I spoke with other pastors, and it was very interesting where people came from on this. And one of my pastor actually talked about some scripture where Jesus didn't fray into politics. But after it was passed, so it was a 2-part situation. And first was an ordinance that allowed invocation. The second was a resolution approving it. I also believe in the rule of law. Once it became law and the invocation was passed, I absolutely voted for the resolution implementing it. And because again, if you don't believe in anything, if you just take your hand up, and when the wind's blowing out there, whether it's prayer, whether it's development, whatever it is, then what kind of integrity? And one thing I will say,
if you don't believe in anything, you'll fall for anything. If you don't believe in something, you'll fall for anything.
And I do have beliefs, and I have absolutely stuck with my integrity on this matter. I've never criticized prayer itself, but I did vote against it, and I'm comfortable with my vote. I'm comfortable with who I am as a individual, as a leader in our community, and as a Christian.
One comment I just want to make about resident comments. This is just something I wonder if it's taken into consideration, and that is people that have a business here in Stuart, but they don't live here. So, I mean, I feel like their voices should be heard as well, even though their residence is not local.
Right. And I will tell you that we absolutely take into consideration businesses and people that don't live in the city of Stuart and don't.
It is our county seat, so you get a lot of feedback.
We get a lot of feedback. We get people coming to us about things that live in Port St. Lucie and talking about things. The city of Stuart provides so much for the county, and one of the things that I always like to talk about, not only are we the business hub, and we've done a fabulous job. We have created a economic centerpiece of economic with a lot of synergy. We've created the boardwalk. Show me any place in the region, maybe even the state, for a city as small as the city of Stuart that has the amount of water access. We've worked.
That's tremendous.
You can sit there and get on a boardwalk at Colorado Avenue, walk all the way down to the Riverwalk stage, around past City Hall, past the waterfront restaurant, past Flagler, past Hudson's, out to the pier, which goes out to the fishing pier, past the fishing pier, down under the railroad tracks, up over to Sunset Bay Marina, where actually part of the Sunset Bay Marina is a public boardwalk that goes past there. And then we've created a walking trail that directs you so you can walk over through neighborhood streets over to Shepherd's Park and then actually make the circle back.
Troy, we got 3 minutes left, and Martin County Watchdog has a question. Why were you using your campaign profiles to follow adult content pages on Instagram?
Okay, so my response to that is, first, anything I followed is nothing more than salacious than a Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. But regardless of that, I'm not going to respond any more than that to a anonymous page that demands transparency while hiding and making salacious, often false claims against not only myself, but multiple people in our community. While their only goal in our community is to destroy the community by pitting neighbor against neighbor, friend against friend, and family against family member. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Okay, so there we go. Now, Troy, we're winding up. We just have a couple minutes left, but there's a lot going on with the city of Stuart. Poppleton Park is another area. If you can cover that real quick, because we only got a couple minutes.
So we had a local resident come to the city of Stuart and ask to be put on the agenda for permission to apply for a permit to put a small business inside the park and negotiate a lease. We authorized that. Once that came public, or people learned about it, I'd say it was public all along, but once people learned about it, there has been some opposition. At our last meeting, there was a motion to reconsider. It passed unanimously, so at our April, I think it's 10th meeting, we will reconsider the resolution that only authorizes the person to apply, which he hadn't even applied yet anyways, and whether he would actually get around to it, but he could not even apply or dig into it until we passed that resolution. And so it was never passed, but it is going to be reconsidered as far as his ability to apply, and we'll see how that goes.
Mayor Troy McDonald, City of Stuart, this half hour just flew by. Lots of information here. Thank you for bringing to the residents' attention some of these bills in Tallahassee that we really need to be aware of, folks. I can just see it gets passed, and all of a sudden your bill is double or triple or whatever it's going to end up being, and a year from now it's too late to do anything about it. So we need to pay attention now. Next, we're going to be talking about the Martin County School District and what it's doing with its books. Are they banning or just protecting our children from materials that are not age appropriate? So we're going to have Amy Pritchett, school board member, in next. We'll be back in just a few minutes.